Hello, world. Welcome to our show, JW Raw with Eminem, coming to you live from the world-famous Jackson Week MMA Academy in Albuquerque, New Mexico, USA. Yes, we are in USA, Albuquerque. This is Mark, and I'd like to give a shout-out to our awesome partners that help us keep the show on the air and keep bringing you some interesting guests from different walks of life. Our fighters and athletes are constantly on the lookout for products that will provide a legal performance edge. Legal performance edge, yes. A couple years back, we came across a nutraceutical company that has an incredible technology. Since then, many of the fighters who train at Jackson Wink MMA Academy have been using their products with astounding success. Unlike most sports performance companies, this company began selling their products through doctors. Their unique technologies help the body heal and maintain exceptional health. For this reason, their products are recommended by doctors worldwide. Yes, worldwide. So how does this translate to sports performance? The truth is, you will never be stronger than you are healthy. How many times have we heard of star athletes who miss a big competition because they're out sick? The same technology that is used to boost the immune system and to detoxify, nourish, and rejuvenate the body is the same technology that boosts strength, endurance, and even cuts unwanted body fat, because we don't want to get fat. We are pumped to finally let you know about our best-kept secret here at Jackson Wink MMA Academy. The company is called RNA Sport. You can find them online at rnasport.com. Again, rnasport.com. Look them up. RNA Sport creates incredible sports performance formulas for elite athletes. Our fighters use and love these products. One of the most important things to know about RNA Sport formulas is their ease of use. It's very easy to use, yes. No more messy powders or hard-to-swallow pills. RNA Sport formulas are delivered directly into the body in a simple-to-take, great-tasting sprays. With high absorption, RNA Sport formulas can be taken immediately before a workout or competition with no lag time. RNA Sport formulas support increased strength and endurance, reduced joint and muscle fatigue, improved recovery, a healthy immune system, optimized metabolism, and a whole lot more. RNA Sport provides benefits and technology unlike any performance products you have ever experienced. I highly recommend you to check out rnasport.com and use their products. They will take your performance to the next level. In our next podcast, we will review the amazing benefits of their specific formulas. JW Raw is happy to also have Fireteam Fit as a longtime sponsor. They are a veteran-owned fitness company that is now partnered with the greatest gym in the world, Jackson Wink MMA Academy. Fireteam Fit is giving a special offer of 15% off. That is right, 15% off all their products, all of them. Go check it out, all their products. All you have to do is enter a code. The secret code is JWRAW015. Again, JWRAW, just like the show, 015. Enter that secret code. You're going to get 15% off everything you buy. Make sure you do that at checkout, and then you'll get that discount. We love having Fireteam Fit as a sponsor since they are family and veteran-owned. That is so cool. We love our veterans. We love our family. Both in one big, happy group. We're happy to have them. It's available on both fireteamfit.com and on amazon.com. Everyone knows how to find Amazon. If you're on Amazon, you're legit. You can go find them on Amazon or check out their website, fireteamfit.com. But don't forget to enter that coupon code. Remember, use JWRAW015.
You're listening to JW Raw.
We are live.
Well, welcome to the show, Robin and Ryan. We're doing things a little bit different. We don't have MMA talk today, so it's kind of a different thing. But
Street fighting.
Yeah, we're going to talk a whole other kind of topic this time, but we may talk a little MMA later in the show. First of all, so Robin, welcome to the show.
Thank you.
You are here to talk about a few different things. Obviously, you were a police officer You were injured in a line of duty a few years back during a massive car chase. They just did a made-for-TV kind of mini-movie kind of thing, was it?
Yeah, Discovery ID.
Yeah, that was pretty fascinating thing. Yeah. Long story short, guy calls APD, calls 911, says, "Hey, I'm waiting for cops."
Yep.
Cops, dispatch says, "Okay." They send a couple cops. First cop on scene gets immediately shot at with an AK-47.
Yep.
He takes cover. Bad guy takes his car, and a chase is on through the city with him shooting with his AK-47 at pretty much every cop he sees. Fortunately,
every responding officer.
Fortunately, no citizens or other cars were targeted. It was just cops. I mean, it's sad to say it was just cops,
but that's fine.
Yeah, we're kind of. That was his goal. So rather us than being armed than unarmed civilians get involved.
Right.
You were at the tail end of it, and I guess you kind of tried to do. Was it some kind of blocking maneuver kind of thing or something? Or?
Yeah, I mean, as I saw him coming towards me, and I saw the pursuit of 10 or 15 cop cars behind him, and you don't have time. He's coming at me quickly, so I decided I would just head him off and use my vehicle to crash into him, and then the rest of the pursuit would have him. But unfortunately, as I was turning in front of him, he held the AK out the window and shot 3 times, hit my vehicle, and then got around me, and the 4th round went through the door and hit my femur, the femoral artery, and the vein, and then shot out various places. And I was pretty much done.
Down for the count.
Yeah. I remained conscious in and out, and then I didn't know I was in front of a fire station, so there's
that's the
second
irony
miracle.
Of it. Yeah.
Irony, miracle,
miracle. You call it a miracle.
Yeah, absolutely.
And it was staffed. They happened to be in there.
They happened to be there. They heard the shots. They didn't hesitate. We tease fire a lot.
Yeah. Cops are always teasing fire.
They're waiting for us and to clear the scene and whatnot. But the scene was anything but safe, and they rushed out, put a tourniquet on my leg, and got me to UNMH.
And in the long recovery part, that's where 1082 came in to kind of help out with that, and that's where Ryan is the president of the 1082 Fund.
Yeah, we founded it back in 2008. We actually got the idea in 2006, and it's been going strong. It's been going good. It's great to help people, especially Robin, my old partner. So
and a little bit of background. You were both Bernalillo County deputies here.
Yep.
And so. That's how you guys met before this ever happened.
Correct.
You guys knew each other.
Yes.
What's the history with the 1082 Fund?
Well, it started, actually, the idea started in 2006. There was a fellow deputy of ours that got sick, was diagnosed with terminal brain cancer.
I remember that. Yeah.
And
Shannon Key.
Yeah. And his wife just said, absolutely not. We're not giving up. They had 3 small kids at the time. And she went and found alternative treatment out in California. And the insurance said, no, we're not going to pay. It's experimental.
Yeah.
We can't pay it. We can't cover it. And it wasn't just our department, but the City of Rio Rancho, Albuquerque Police Department, all the fire departments, they all did emergency fundraising. And we all passed the hat around in briefing, raised a bunch of money for him. And he went out to California, got the treatment, and lo and behold, he was deemed cancer-free. A year and a half later, he was actually back to work, made it back on SWAT and K-9, did everything that he was doing. So that's how we initially got started. There was probably about 6-8 months after that, there was a tragic death involving a Rio Rancho PD guy. And here we are again, passing the hat around, trying to do emergency fundraising, holding softball tournaments, card games, whatever we can do. Right, bake sales,
whatever we can do.
And a friend of mine, Pete Camacho, came over. I was actually barbecuing in my backyard. He goes, "Man, this is ridiculous. Let's get together a fund that we can have in the bank that's readily available when people need it." So that's how 1082 got started. We started that in 2006. We were incorporated in 2008, and been going strong ever since. So it's been good.
And for the people listening, thinking of 1082 as a secret code, it's basically a police officer code for backup. backup officer. So
Yeah, send assistance, something
when
like
you
that,
say
so.
when you say send me 1082, you're asking for a backup or assistance from another officer. So it works perfectly for this fund.
Yeah, I thought it fit.
Yeah,
so
it's perfect.
It works. But yeah, we've been going good, and we're self-sustained. It's all volunteers. Actually, police, fire, even a military guy volunteer on our board. And we just do fundraising throughout the year and raise money and put it in the bank until someone needs it. So
And so just a couple weeks ago, we had a humongous event that used to be formerly called the Rumble in Rio. It's been now renamed and sponsored by the 1082 Fund, or you guys are raising funds for the 1082 Fund.
So it originated, the Rumble in Rio, by our co-founder, Pete Camacho.
Yeah.
And he's retired lieutenant with Rio Rancho PD. He did it in honor of a retired civilian employee that worked for us, Jim Franklin. And Jim Franklin was our evidence tech. He would always put together all the old bikes that we all seized and everything.
That's right, the bikes.
And give them away to kids that need, which was awesome. He did it all on his own in his spare time and stuff. Well, he passed, and Pete started this Rumble in Rio, and all the proceeds went to buy bikes for kids, bikes and helmets. And it grew quite well. And basically what happened was Pete stepped down, board took it over, and it kind of dwindled away.
Yeah.
Some of the venues wouldn't let him have it because it was too big for some venues, too small for others. It got really expensive, and it kind of dwindled away. Pete actually moved to Florida, moved back this past year.
Yeah, him and Doty had moved out there for a little while.
Yeah, they went and stayed in Paradise and apparently came back to the land
Paradise
of
ain't
enchantment, you
ain't
know.
that cool after all. Yeah.
It's Florida Man.
So, yeah.
They came back as a Florida Man.
Well, we're glad he's back because, he brought back, now they renamed it.
The new name is cool.
Yeah.
The Brawl.
Brawl
and the
and the
Bosque.
On the Bosky. We didn't want to infringe on those guys at Rumble in Rio.
Yeah.
But we brought it back, and it's the same deal. It got a lot of participation from law enforcement and fire to go hit each other in the face.
And
So
shout out to Isleta because
Yeah.
they when no one else would let you guys use a venue, they said heck yeah.
That was huge.
You know what? Without hesitation, those guys stepped up. Brand new venue. It's
Beautiful place,
venue.
Yeah. The stadium seating.
So yeah,
and the room sold out, so good on everybody.
We were just talking about that. We have the MMA events there, the Jackson Wink Fight Nights, and it's never got that close to selling out.
We'll
as
change
compared
that.
Yeah. so obviously you guys did something right, and we talked about it a little bit off the air. I don't know if it was people wanted to see cops, just something about cops beating up firemen or firemen beating up cops, or that rivalry or the families, and they get generations in there that just want to see it, or it's just been so long since it's happened.
The fun animosity, it went not so fun after the first punch. I'm telling you, these guys were like, "Oh wait, this is real."
Well, that first fight,
that
first fight set the tone when he came out in the Hannibal Lecter mask and
That was fun.
and the orange jumpsuit. Yeah.
That was fun.
That guy was a nut, man. He was crazy.
Yeah, it's hard to believe he was
Rael.
corrections officer.
They kept yelling, Rael!
Yeah, I think he was MDC corrections or something.
Yeah, and I didn't. I thought there was animosity between police and fire. Apparently,
the pen.
and the state or the Metro County Detention Center. There's some major animosity. So.
That was awesome.
Yeah, the prison guards and the corrections officers are two different things apparently. Yeah, there was that animosity. It was pretty interesting, but it was a huge success. Raised a lot of money.
We did very well, so it was good.
Hopefully, it's never enough, but it's something that did good enough that you guys are definitely going to be doing it again next year.
Gosh, I hope so. I hope Pete steps up. The amount of work that guy put in, he said, "Hey, you're going to take it over next year." I said, "There's no way."
Well, and he held many hats. I mean, he was the promoter. He got to be the ring announcer. He was the
That jacket was a bomb.
his purple color.
Is he listening? Is Pete listening?
He could be.
Okay.
Yeah, I don't know if he's logged on yet, but
I'll tell you this. Pete, Pete and Doty. So Doty's the smart, quiet one, and Pete is the one that's loud and boisterous. And we had 5 people calling wanting to announce that fight, and he was like not having it.
This
He's
is
like,
mine.
nope,
This is
I'm
mine.
getting the spotlight on this.
yeah,
one.
you could tell he practiced. He had it down pat. He did great. He
did
sounded
really
like a
well.
pro
Yeah.
for being a first time.
He did really well.
Yeah.
Yeah, so I think he's got the bug. He'll be doing it from now on.
Be the
Who knows?
MMA announcer.
I was
going to
say other venues may end up hiring him. He nailed it. I didn't hear any any screw ups on his end. One of the refs kind of screwed up and raised the wrong hand. That was kind of funny on one of the fights. But he did his job perfectly.
Yeah, all in all, it was a great event. I think everybody had a good time. So it was fun, a lot of fun.
We appreciate you doing making that thing happen, and it was for a great cause. And what you did with Robin, getting her back in shape is great. I know there's always officers and firemen that need that extra help, and I mean, insurance doesn't always cover everything, just like you said. It's a perfect example with that cancer treatment, and that's where you guys come in. How do officers or people how do officers get a hold of you if they have an issue, or if people want to donate to it? How can they get a hold of you?
It's really easy. We have a website set up, and it's ten-82.com, 1082.com. Hopefully it pops up quick on the Google search, but
it does. You're the first one.
If
they put 1082,
all my login on over and over works.
Yeah, 1082. I don't know if that's just a New Mexico code or other agencies
places,
have it.
I think, yeah.
My brother's caught in California, and he's like, "Why are you calling your fund this?" And I said, "What is it?" And he's like, "It's a fight in progress. What is going on?"
We'll see. We got the rumble, the brawl in the bosque. It's a fight.
It's a fight for us to get back on our feet when we're injured. So it all applies.
There's ways to
I
twist
wish
it.
you were there when I
Yeah.
I didn't have an answer. I wish you were there. You could have told me.
Yeah, so. That's funny. And see, it could mean taking a dump in some department.
Yeah, it'd probably be more appropriate coffee break or something like that.
Yeah, I mean, it's funny. 10 codes are an interesting
Well, there's
thing.
2 in it, so number 2.
Yeah.
Oh, jeez.
Well, see, I remember when
APD
and BCSO used to have different 10 codes.
Yeah.
You guys were the state police codes, I think, and then APD. So.
I think FEMA kind of changed that too.
I can't remember what it
they
was.
wanted more of a universal way to communicate.
But there was always that animosity between the departments, and it's so hilarious now. You retire, and it's like, why? It's the same damn job.
It really is.
Whether it's LAPD or New York PD or Albuquerque or Denver, it's the same damn job.
Well, that's why
small department, big department.
I'm glad they opened it up to EMS, military, fire, because it's a broader definition. And I have to say one thing, because I don't know how long Ryan's going to be here, but Mark, you asked about how folks can get a hold of 1082. Well, they do a great job about reaching out to when they hear of an injured officer, because that's the other thing about us needing help. We don't want to ask for help, and it's hard for us to ask for help. And I know in my case, my husband's very private, and 1082 reached out to us, and if they hadn't, we probably wouldn't have accepted the help. Yeah,
it's a humble thing. Yeah.
It is a humble thing, and it's a weird position to be in, because we are the alpha, we're the caretaker. We show up to help you. Nobody comes to help us. So especially when we feel not useless, but our mission's gone. And it's been 5 years for me, and they still, whether it's a text checking on me or inviting me to things, I mean, when I was at the fight that night, I was on cloud 9 just to be around my people and to be engaged, because now that I'm retired, there's nothing like the job. And to at least, and you know what it's like to not, you're not in the game anymore. And even though there's still a lot of love, it's just different. And they do a great job about keeping in touch. And that's one of the things that I appreciate about 1082 is they don't forget.
And I got to make that distinction. I mean, in your case, you weren't ready to retire when you retired.
Absolutely
so not. It's one thing to be forced to retire, and one thing to actually want to retire.
Yeah, that was my last call, and I never could have known when I was sitting in briefing that a few hours later that would be my last call. And I hung in there for a couple years, and I tried to get back to work. I was in a modified duty, an office kind of job, and then I had another surgery coming up, and I just had to accept that I was too stubborn, and so I hung in there 18 years.
I remember that because Lou Golson's actually a good friend of mine too, and he was kind of going through the same thing at APD.
It's a process. It's very difficult.
Tough to let it go.
Yeah, it is. Yeah.
And the injuries you had, it's just impossible to ever get back to where you need it to be.
I'm not getting any younger. I'll be 50.
Yeah, I'm not going to talk about the age thing, but there is that too. Our bones aren't healing the same. Our bodies don't heal the same.
They're
going the opposite direction. Yeah. So.
Well, and also like I said, my husband's very private, and I know Shannon's a good example, and so is Jeremy Romero, who 1082 helped a lot. So what people don't realize is maybe they'll see me out and about, or they'd see me on crutches, and they didn't know my husband couldn't work. He had a great job. I was full-time care. I couldn't go to the bathroom. I couldn't cook for myself. I was literally in bed with my leg up with all the vascular damage, and he never returned to his job. And that,
wow.
Yeah, I hope he's not listening. He would not be happy if I shared that. But that's the kind of thing that people need to realize. Jeremy's wife was taking care of him. Yeah. And so that's when 1082's like, you know, they're there for all those unforeseen things. And it's not just, I'm not going to talk about workman's comp, but they don't cover everything. They do what they can, but they're an insurance company. And when it comes to alternative treatments, which I've done everything I can possibly find, if you want to get better, you have to. You can't sit back and wait for the insurance company. It's just not going to happen.
Yeah, because you'd be waiting and not healing.
And then when it comes to, you know, my family wanted to come in. I mean, our resources were tapped when I was injured. And I don't know if that's a good time to segue to Jackson's, but but maybe we'll talk about 1082 a little bit more.
Heck yeah.
But man, you make me feel like a slouch for volunteering to retire. I was like, I've had enough of this job. I'm out. I'll see you later.
No.
How many years did you do?
I did over just almost 22.
Yeah, so that's plenty of time.
Yeah, it was time for me to go.
Over 20, you did 20.
It's ready for somebody else to have fun. You're holding a space for all those young guys too.
Well, I sure wasn't going up the chain. So.
There's other people want that day shift slot. Weekends.
That's hilarious. It's true.
Oh, I know.
Nick's laughing because he knows.
Yeah.
No, we just got three law enforcement officers in here, and they're roasting each other like it's before briefing. It's great.
It's all about seniority.
Rookies, get there. Don't worry about it.
Yeah. No, it's a thing to be celebrated. If you make it to retirement, that's a whole nother special club. And no, my hat's off to folks that make it to retirement.
Well, so let's get into your life a little bit, because obviously before you were an officer, you were in the Marine Corps, and I know I heard that you were a pretty avid marathon runner kind of thing.
Yeah, I was
always had that active lifestyle. Did some jiu-jitsu.
Yep. Yeah. Well, out of high school, I joined the Marine Corps, and then after I got out, I was just natural. I wanted to go into law enforcement. I was a tomboy, and I was raising my first son, and law enforcement was my dream. And I actually worked corrections for a little while, and then I got hired with the Sheriff's Department, Bernalillo County, and the rest is history. No.
Why'd you go with Bernalillo County State Deputy? Just curious.
Honest to God. So actually, I'm from Arizona, and I was going to college in Arizona, and this was before internet. Do you remember that they had those things called an interest card?
Yeah, of course.
It was literally a postcard, and you filled it out, you sent it in, and so I had actually applied Arizona, California. I just wanted to be a cop, and I was like, I'll just apply. And I had gone to some wanted me, and some said, no thanks, we have enough. And I saw a posting for Bernalillo County Sheriff's Department. Also, Aurora, Colorado was one of the... Yeah. I mailed in my interest card, and I got them both back, and I only had enough money to go to one, because I was working at the prison, and I just didn't have much money. So I picked Albuquerque, and go figure. I brought a couple COs out with me to here, and and they hired me, and I moved... Like less than 2 weeks later, the academy started.
So where are you from originally then?
Tempe, Arizona.
Okay. And then, so the Marine Corps brought you here, or how'd you end up here?
No, it was just that interest card.
Okay.
Yeah, it was I was going to college in Arizona, and I was for criminal justice. And so, they had all these postings for different jobs, and it was just a fluke that I ended up out here. Yeah. So it could have been state police, it could have been APD. I just wanted to be a cop, and so I guess it was meant to be.
Well, I heard nothing but good things about you while you're doing your job, and so
I loved it.
That's a good thing. And
it's so much fun,
Bad things happen to the good people, as they say.
She read to my mom's class over at North Valley Academy when she was there.
Oh yeah, so kids, they're just a passion of mine, and anytime we'd go to a call where kids were involved, whether it was a domestic or didn't have to be a domestic, but if we went to a house and kids were involved, I always found out where they went to school. And I would go to the school and just check in on whoever it was that wasn't in school, and sure enough, they would say that kid hasn't been in school for a week or whatever, and then we get the kid help. And that's how I met Nick's mom, was North Valley Academy. It's
That's awesome.
just doing my job. I've met the most amazing people.
So this is what you were doing while you were a deputy?
Oh, yeah.
Oh, wow. So,
yeah.
So now after, post the
injury, and then I retire, and then
you
it's
started a nonprofit.
Yeah,
let's get into that a little bit.
It's called the Code of the West Outreach. Yep, and it's right now it's for 3rd and 4th graders, and it's at Los Ranchos Elementary, and basically we talk about what it was like in the Old West before technology, and our motto is courage, optimism, and hard work. And I tell the kids, if you have courage, optimism, and hard work, your dreams will come true.
Yeah.
And it's a blast. It's a 10-week program, and I modeled it after the DARE program. So after I retired, I was trying to find my next mission or my next passion, and I was actually at a place called Horses for Heroes, where veterans go to heal.
Huh, cool.
And I'm also in the Air National Guard, and that's how I got connected with Horses for Heroes. But making a long story short, I was at the ranch doing some work on PTSD, and I was still trying to figure out what's next in my life. And so I was in the bunkhouse, and I was surrounded by all this cowboy stuff, and I used to be a DARE officer with BCSO, and it just clicked. I was like, I'm going to create the cowboy version of the DARE program. And that's what I did. I went to a school where I used to teach DARE, and I reached out to the teacher and the principal, and Sharon Navarro, whose daughter is in our academy now. Mm-hmm. It's the biggest small town. I said, Sharon, she remembered me from DARE days like 10 years ago.
Wow, yes.
I know. So that's why I was glad I had been on as long as I had. So I had connections, and I still had, folks that could work with me. So anyway, so we put together this curriculum, and the first year, huge success. Second year, we're going into our 3rd year. They get a language arts credit because it's not just, fun. DARE was great, but it didn't have the longevity, and they didn't get an English credit. And now we do agriculture with them, where they grow plants and food, and so they get a science credit for that. And that's what I've been up to.
That's awesome.
But I got a job with the Forest Service, so it's a lot. I have a lot on my plate.
Yeah, I was gonna say, well, you don't want to be bored, huh?
No,
all those days sitting in the hospital bed and home really got you.
But running as Ryan will tell you, a nonprofit is awesome, but it costs a lot of money and time, and so I'll figure out a way to continue my Code of the West outreach with the forest.
I'm not worried about that thing disappearing. When I first met Robin, she was on day shift. I was working graves, and she would come in, and she's like, "Oh, you guys need to buy these." And she was in charge of not only her duties, but it was the snack. She was a snack bar liaison.
I started a snack bar. That's right.
And we're a bunch of
junk eaters.
Yeah, we want IHOP, crap food at graveyards. And
I had healthy snacks.
She has all like fruits and
granola bars
with
protein
no
bars,
chocolate.
Yeah.
I eventually threw in some crap for them, but
she would complain.
Sounds like our cafe down
and we're eating our leftover meals, and gravy.
I forgot
and all
about
this.
that.
And she'd come in like, "Why aren't you guys eating my food? I bring in all this food." And we're like, "Oh, you got to bring in some Doritos or something."
And I did, and then the profits started to go up shockingly. Yeah.
Imagine that.
Yeah. Put a Coke in there every now and then. Leave it. Diet's fine. Just give us some sugar.
That's true.
But she's always done extra stuff. She with the DARE program. She put a skate park in one of the
it's still there.
Valley.
Yeah, that's right. I forgot about that.
She'll find a way to do
so much she doesn't even remember everything she's done. That's awesome.
But those kids. But that's why I love kids. They when I was in the hospital, they brought me a plaque. This was again 10, 12 years ago. South Valley Polk Middle School. It's still the first. It's not big, but it's still a skate park in middle school. The only skate park in New Mexico that has, or in Albuquerque, that has a skate park, and they allow them to skate.
Wow.
Which is a big deal. But it's rough for kids nowadays. Even 10 years ago, and when they were skating, they never had any animosity. They encouraged each other, and it was just like, it was an epiphany for me to watch them. I was a school resource officer, and I was like, those kids, they need more than they didn't have anything. It's like a prison yard.
That was a good call.
Yeah, well, it all worked out, but we don't do it without support. So back to 1082 and Jackson Wink, I mean, nobody does it alone. So
before the show, you got to watch John Jones, Holly Holm, Michelle Watterson doing some sparring downstairs, and took a picture with them. And John was, of course, he heard about your nonprofit, and right away he's like, heck yeah, let me know about this stuff.
And I definitely will.
Oh,
the kids would flip out, if they saw him. Yeah,
he's got between him and Holly, they probably got 10 million followers. It's crazy.
And they're the real deal.
Oh yeah.
You know, what does Holly say? Work hard, stay humble. Yeah. It's like that. All of them. That's her line. Yeah. Yeah, I love it. And she's, gosh, it was how long ago? She would volunteer at the police. We'd have camps for the kids. Do you remember those, Ryan, years ago?
Yeah.
And Holly would come out and volunteer, and she's just amazing.
Yeah, she's a busy woman.
Yeah,
she's definitely. We're excited to hear what's next for her fight wise. I mean, she was supposed to be fighting with John and Diego Sanchez on this next card next weekend, but they took her off, and we're not quite sure what's pending, but it's something exciting should be happening here pretty soon.
Well, good will always come her way. She's amazing. She deserves it.
Save her for a main event.
Yeah, she's good. She's good. She's definitely the UFC definitely wins when she's the main event. Yeah, she's got a following. Believe me, people love her. It's amazing, because we were kind of joking just now about it, because John was. Me and John were talking about the draw, and he's like, "No, I'm no draw. Holly there. That's who everyone wants the picture with. I'm the bad boy, you know." But it's true, you know. Everyone loves Holly. She's just that person that everyone wants to be seen with.
I remember screaming when she won with Ronda Rousey. It just literally jumped out of me. It was,
no matter where you were at, if you were watching that,
I didn't expect to react that way. Oh my gosh, it was so awesome.
Yeah, because that's Albuquerque.
Oh, that's our girl,
well, that too. Yeah, to have that.
And it's funny. My daughter went with her friend to the UNM basketball game.
A couple weeks ago. Yeah, last week. Yeah,
and. She sends me a picture, and there it is, her and Holly in between the two girls.
That's awesome.
And I said, "Oh my gosh, that's our girl. What'd you say?" She says, "I was so nervous, I didn't say anything." Luckily, my friend asked for a picture. So, but people. I mean, she's just so humble and so nice to everybody, and that's why everybody loves her. You know.
Yeah. So hopefully they can give some shout outs to you guys' stuff and help it grow a little bit in any way that we can help each other.
Yeah.
That's
the kids are our future. It sounds corny and cliche, but it is a fact.
Yeah, and we need some positive role models and positive things going on in their life, because there's so much negative in the press. And I mean, we can talk about that shooting that almost happened in Rio Rancho last week. I mean, it's that's the kind of thing that is scary now. When we went to school, that stuff didn't happen.
Never. Yeah.
And there's discussions. People want to talk about it, and I don't know what the answer is. So you got one side saying, "Take all the guns away. No. That'll solve it," and the other guy's like, "Don't take my guns away. We're not the problem." It's
right.
You know, and mental health is a big part of it. I know that. The problem with that is we can't have that discussion because of federal rules like HIPAA and disclosing that kind of stuff. Well, we knew they had these issues, but we can't talk about it because when we're violating. And so it's one of those catch-22s. We know about the people that are going to be an issue, but we can't really tell everyone about it, because then we're going to cause a problem. So I mean, so we kind of know the people that are going to do that stuff. It's never the sane kid that shows up every day and just flips.
Right. No, it doesn't happen overnight.
Somebody that's going on upstairs. Yeah. This guy said he heard voices.
And everybody will say, "Yeah, we saw that coming." But it's a culture. It's like you said. It's not the weapon. I mean, look at places where they've taken away guns. They use bricks or vans that they drive into crowds, and it's. I think it's not one specific thing, because you can point to, well, it's bad parenting or it's the economy or what, but it does happen when they're young. It doesn't happen overnight. So you can blame entitlement, or we can't spank our kids, or I think it's a little everything. You know?
And these kids that do it now in the schools, I don't know if they're the ones that would eventually grow up and shoot up the McDonald's, that happened years ago. I mean, when we were growing up, that happened.
Right.
There were the mass shootings at the Luby's or the McDonald's or
but
those, it was always adults.
Those were still a shock, though. It's not a shock now when you hear of a shooting, and that's what's sad.
people going postal. Yeah, that was was the term back then, and it's still happening, but now it's starting in schools, and that's where it's scary because I mean if you have kids in school, you don't want to be putting your kids in that position where you say hi goodbye to them one morning and you never get to say welcome home.
And that's the sad thing is law enforcement, we prepare our families for us when we say goodbye, going to work because we may not come home,
but not our kids.
And there's some things in between criminals and law enforcement are off limits.
Exactly.
And that crosses the line, and unfortunately it's kids committing crimes against kids.
Yeah, it's not criminals that are going into these schools and doing it. It's their fellow peers that are just. I mean, we can say it was bullying. We can say it was, there's always someone always wants to blame the magic bullet, but there is no magic bullet or common denominator other than I think mental illness does have a big part of it, and we can't keep all mentally ill people out of school. They have to have they still have to go to school, but I don't know. That's the part where it's just so tough.
And even mental illness, even that term, if depression and anxiety is a mental illness, I have a mental illness.
Yeah.
I have anxiety, depression, PTSD.
And a lot of officers and firemen do.
Exactly.
Yeah.
So, especially young people or adults, when they talk about risk factors and protective factors and all that good stuff, if we had more kids engaging in not just sports but activities, whether it's 4-H or being mentored, then they are less likely to, because you look at the profile of these kids and they're not engaged.
They're loners.
Yeah, loners are not engaged. So in law enforcement, we have to believe that our presence is doing a good job, or sometimes if we drive down the street that it's made a difference. We don't see the outcome. Nobody says, hey, I turned out okay because of that mentoring and because you were at my house helping us or whatever. So that's why I'm looking at you with all the fighters in the background and the pictures and all these good-hearted people that are so willing to be a part of kids' lives.
Yeah.
I have no doubt that that's going to help change the course of
kids. A lot of them have
kids.
their own kids too, so they
but kids are where it's at. It's,
of course, no.
As far as I'm concerned,
that's the truth of it, and it's tough because we do want to take care of them, we want to protect them, and in public safety, that's our purpose, is to protect everybody. But obviously, you're going to take the kids a little bit more serious. You want to protect them a little extra.
Yeah, it's just an extra couple miles an hour going to a kid call.
Exactly. Yeah, it's a true story. Yeah, it's like,
I got a story.
Retired, you can say what you want.
Nick's got.
I got a story that we lived in. Our neighbors were kind of sketchy. There was something going on, but we could never really get them to do anything. All of a sudden, we definitely heard like definite child abuse that was beyond any measure, and so we called, and I was like, yeah, I think there's something going on. Matter of like 2.5 minutes after the dispatch took the call, everything, this APD officer rolls up. He knocks on my door. He's like, can I use your backyard to get entrance into the back? I was like, heck yeah, you want me to claim with you? He's like, no, I got it. Yeah. But yeah, you're absolutely right.
When it comes to kids.
we need more civilians like Nick.
Right?
There. Do what you need.
Yeah, I would have said, sure, Nick, you first. Let's go.
Here's my jacket.
But in all seriousness, actually, if citizens would be more observant, and call more and get involved more, and talk about going back to the Old West, we were more accountable. We knew our neighbors.
And I talk about that so much.
I know, right?
It's now nowadays you pull into your garage, you don't even look at your neighbors, you don't talk. You go out to your mailbox, you hope you don't see your neighbors.
It's like, I don't have time to talk to him or whatever.
That's the wrong thing, man. Your neighbors can do so much for you.
Absolutely.
Because they know who belongs at your house. You know who belongs at their house. You can.
Yep.
I mean,
all of that.
God, if you're one of those neighborhoods where you can just talk about, hey, I'm going to be out of town for a week. I'm going to Florida, whatever. Can you keep an eye on the place? And they're going to keep an eye on it. But if you don't even talk to them, they're not going to care. They don't know who's
right.
They don't know who's coming and going.
What car belongs, who doesn't. Yeah.
So when the truck backs up in your driveway and
people
garage
think that
pops
sounds
up
absurd, but it happens.
It happens broad daylight. And it doesn't happen at night. I mean, that's the get a little confused.
And
about
the neighbors
that.
are waving to them, and they're loading.
Yeah.
Oh my God!
taking their microwave oven, their dishwasher. It's
And their prized chihuahuas.
one of my good friends. He's a corrections officer, and he lives right across the street from a vacant house. And they had
Is
a
it
bunch
Steve?
Yeah, Steve.
He's watching.
He's listening. Yes, he's got these cool cameras in front of his house, and he was saying that they had just put in a bunch of new appliances in the house. They're remodeling it, and some truck pulls up, and they were stealing all the appliances out of this vacant house. And it's all on his camera system, and then of course somebody calls the cops, and they show up, and of course they take off with all the crap. Stuff flies out the back of the truck. But he knew that those people didn't belong there.
Yeah.
You know, so he gets involved, but that's
And
what
there
it
you
takes.
go.
You know?
Yeah.
And this was late at night, I think, even too. So,
And
but that's a perfect example of
absolutely
neighbors looking out for each other, even though there was nobody there. But still, he knew who belonged there.
Yeah.
That truck didn't belong there. So.
You can't expect law enforcement to do that kind of thing. It's
So
just
Steve, that shout out,
unrealistic.
there's your little story there.
Speaking of shout out, we talked about jiu-jitsu earlier,
Yes.
and I didn't realize that the folks at Gracie Barra had come
Oh yeah,
to Jackson
they're
Wink.
big team.
Which makes sense
partners of ours,
because the modality it crosses over. And before I was injured, I had trained a little bit at Gracie Barra, and then after my injury, I thought, well, there's no way. I didn't even keep my gi, which is very expensive.
Oh yeah.
I thought, well, there's no way I can ever, with the lack of range of motion and
yeah,
my
you gotta get
fear
back into
of
it.
being re-injured. So actually my son started the Gracie Kids, and I missed it, and I would watch him, and long story short, I started to roll just a little bit. And I mean, the professors, the black belts are great about
Heck yeah.
I only partner up with people that are real gentle, and sometimes I just sit out. I don't, go through the motions, but the act of showing up has helped me so much, and just doing what I can, because I have to be real careful with my leg and
heck
with
yeah.
my hip. But if people would just do what they can, don't think, well, I can't do that, or I'm injured or whatever, because they're super supportive. And actually the MMA, you guys have that adaptive.
Yes, adaptive MMA.
I mean, come on, when you see those guys,
yeah.
you don't tell me that you can't do anything
Yep.
when they're so inspiring.
Yeah, it is. It's every Friday, Thursday, Friday they come in,
Okay.
and they're all assigned a coach, and
Yeah.
coaches are our fighters, and so they take them under their wing, and they're showing them all the moves and
Yeah.
teaching them.
They
the codes
inspire
and-
me,
It's
too.
cool, man. It's so awesome to
Yeah.
be a part of something that's getting so much bigger, and that started all because of a big part of it was Diego Sanchez was in here training one day, and we had this gentleman with Down syndrome that would come in and just watch practice.
Mm-hmm.
He told his caretaker, "Hey, I want to go watch the MMA guys."
Aw.
He's a big UFC fan,
Yeah.
and so Isaac.
I saw him on the calendar.
Yeah, Isaac the Shermanator.
Yeah.
Marquez. He would come in, and one day him and Diego crossed paths in the lobby, and Diego said, "Who are you?" And he's like, "I'm Isaac, and what are you doing here?" And so I want to do UFC.
Yeah.
And Diego's like, "Really? So I'm going to teach you,
Yeah.
And they exchanged numbers, and literally 2 years later, they're still good friends.
Awesome.
And
Yeah.
still training. You see them every Friday down there. They're Thursdays or Fridays. I think they were doing it for Thursdays for the past couple of years, and I think
Yeah.
schedules changed.
It's changed. I
Okay.
think it's really all week, because Diego's Instagram feed will be filled with the Shermanator on a live doing some mitts.
Yeah.
And then they just live it up in this town. They rule the town.
Yeah. And now Isaac's a superstar. It's funny.
Nice.
We went to Sandia Casino one day, and he was roaming around with his chest out. Hey, everyone's, hey, Shermanator.
Nice.
Hey, Sherman. He's like a celebrity. This
Yeah.
guy's awesome. But the family, the whole situation here with him getting involved, and then the Winklejohn said, "You know
Mm-hmm.
what? Let's expand that to everybody."
It's such an
You know?
inspiration.
And so now we got people without arms, legs, different mental capacities or issues going on, and we welcome them just like anyone else, and they get the same treatment. We work around whatever their disability is, and they're having a great time, and seeing their smiles and seeing their parents' reactions when they're smiling is it's gold.
It's their heart.
I wish I could always get pictures of that stuff.
Yeah.
But I kind of see it as sensationalizing it.
When they talk about the heart of a warrior, that's what it is.
But it's such a cool thing, and that's just another nonprofit thing that's out there for people to get involved with, if they could, and programs like yours. I think that's awesome. The 1082 Fund. There's so many cool programs out there that are out there to help so many different causes, and
because we can get frustrated in this town big time.
Oh, yeah.
But there's so much good happening, and I know Greg. It's Greg that's doing
he's promoting New Mexico.
Yeah, exactly. I heard that, and I was like, heck yeah.
Yeah, he was in Australia a couple weekends ago, promoting the city of Albuquerque and New Mexico.
And
we'll be
no
in Vegas
kickbacks,
in a couple
just
weeks,
because, and it's true. If you focus on the good, there's such amazing things happening here.
Yeah, and promoting Meow Wolf. We got some really cool stuff here. I still haven't been there, but I hear great things about it, and I'm going to get there one of these days. But it's supposed to be one of the coolest things.
It is.
Yeah,
it's a lot of fun. Just be careful what you're on.
That's
over-the-counter medication.
Yeah, that's and that seems to be a theme. Some people want to be on that.
I guess so, but no,
it's over there.
Put the kids on Robitussin.
Right.
It's entertaining all by itself. You don't need to be on anything.
My kids love going there. Something changes every time.
Yeah.
Okay.
So my kids go there and as often as we can, but let's go check out this, and they're like, oh, this is different.
I always see the picture of the washing machine, and you like crawl in the washing machine. It's a slide or something.
Their funnest thing is to go walk inside of a refrigerator, because as a kid you're like, don't go in there for life.
Yeah, you get locked in there. Yeah, it's like a cool paradise in there.
They just go in there and shut the door, and then they're gone. Don't know where they're at.
That's awesome.
That's funny.
I think that's to promote that kind of stuff is cool. I don't know where else they have that thing, but it's.
Well, it started here, right? Because they opened one in Austin, Texas.
Yeah, I heard they're going to build a couple more, so it's obviously doing very well.
Yeah.
And I think one's going to D.C., so that.
Oh, that's.
Maybe it normalizes D.C. and that becomes less of a trip.
Anything's possible in Meow Wolf.
Yeah. I'm going to get there one of these days, but they're promoting the zoo, the museum, pretty much anything New Mexico, and we're asking for anyone that wants to help to get their businesses involved in that, to get a hold of Greg Jackson through his website and reach out to them, and they'll try to get you in as partners and help promote. So it's a cool thing. So the coaches are both busy guys. Greg with that, Wink with his adaptive MMA. Not to mention they're fighting every other weekend somewhere.
Right.
It's a crazy life they have.
Yeah, I can't imagine.
Yeah, their passports are filled up with. They fill up quite often because they're just flying. They're flying all over the world. They're not just. It's not just Vegas, and so it's pretty fascinating watching.
It just goes to show you, when you put your heart and your energy and your talent into something, it's phenomenal.
Who would have known 20 some years ago when they started it? What it would have.
Well, I remember the gym off of San Mateo.
So that
I think I was telling Nick earlier that just to get fit, I was working out there, and Little John was there.
Yeah, that was Greg Jackson's.
The
original.
Yeah.
So you're talking about the one on Acoma?
Yeah.
That was the second.
It was close to my house, and I was like, these guys are amazing. So
Greg Jackson had his own place, San Mateo and Manal.
Oh,
and
okay.
Winkle John had a place up on Wantabo.
Oh, that's right.
And then they joined forces.
Yeah.
A guy named Chris Luttrell.
Oh, he's on Manal.
So he introduced them.
Oh, gotcha.
And then
I didn't know that history.
They opened up the gym on Acoma.
Gotcha.
And then it went from Acoma to here.
So not an overnight success.
Yeah. They've been at it very,
earned
very
it.
long
Yeah.
time.
You know what? They've always stepped up and helped, because I remember way back in the day, he would offer free classes with the trail.
Yeah, for officers. Yeah, they still do it. Yeah.
You know, gun protection, and here's how you get out of this or whatever. Because UFC was up and coming then, and we were getting in danger of getting choked out on street calls and stuff.
Exactly. Yeah.
So,
No,
Well, and things have gotten worse for law enforcement, unfortunately, if that was possible, but it has. And as recent as, I want to say 2 years ago, Greg, again, was training people for free, and I had gone a couple of times, and I was still on crutches, and I was just there to build my confidence back, because it's one of the things I was talking about earlier was how mentally, I never expected the mental part of the recovery. I was just so focused on getting my physical body back to the job that when you get shook like that, it's hard. And I remember being there. Greg was there, and it was the APD SWAT guy, really cool, just built dude. No, it was this
Brad
was
Aaronsfield was one
no,
of the
not him.
original
This was a
students,
short guy.
That's
No,
probably
it was
Latrell.
2 years ago.
It might be Tony Fincher.
I don't know, but it was amazing, because I told him I was the only girl, and I thought, man, what are they going to think of me? And I just straight up I said, I'm here to get my confidence back, And this guy, he was shorter. He wasn't.
Right.
I know who you're talking about. Yeah, and he shared with me when he was in a car accident and how that rocked his foundation. And so it made me realize that you don't have to be shot for your confidence to to get shook.
Yeah.
But that's what fighting, jiu-jitsu, all this contact sport has been phenomenal to get that courage back. For lack of better words, it's a crappy feeling to have that nervousness of, is it going to happen again?
So now your injuries, are they fixed to a point where it gets you two places, you're able to walk,
Mm-hmm.
but if you try to engage in some stuff like jiu-jitsu, it can really screw things up?
Yeah, so I have to be very careful. I don't have the range of motion, so I'll tell my partner, my leg doesn't go this way, and so
Yeah.
they're really mindful, and I do, stuff on my right side, because
Yeah.
my left side is the bad side. I still have a lot of vascular damage, so I can't stand up for too long or my leg will
Yeah.
swell. My last surgery was almost 2 years ago, and they reconstructed, gave me another hip and lengthened my leg again.
Wow.
I had several limb lengthening surgery.
Another hip.
Yeah. So
like a homemade hip, or
Oh,
like
yeah.
a cadaver hip, or how does
no,
that
it's titanium and
Wow.
ceramic.
It's
Yeah,
fascinating.
It is. It really is, and that relieved a lot of the lower back pain I was having. But for the most part, I don't need my cane unless I've overdone it.
Yeah,
Then
I remember
I'll
seeing
use
you in
my
the
cane.
earlier stages. You had your cane.
Yeah, it depends on what I'm doing or how long I'm. If I hike, I use trekking poles. But mostly what hurts is I have nerve damage. That my foot will sometimes I'd have to be aware to lift it. You know how you trip on carpet
Yeah.
for no reason?
Yeah.
I'll do that with the nerves in my foot, or
Just the way you're walking. Yeah.
Yeah, so I have to be mindful of the way I walk, but right now it's as good as it gets.
And one bullet did all that damage.
Well, it was
the fragment.
7.62 by 39.
Yeah.
Is that the AK?
Yeah.
Yeah.
7.62. Yeah.
Yeah,
7.62.
Yeah, so it and it was such a lucky shot too. It's like
Yeah.
you give us an AK
Because it
in a
actually
moving car,
because
and
it went through the door first.
yeah, so it went through the door and it hit where your femur goes into the socket, so it hit that,
jeez.
and so
Perfect shot.
it was a perfect shot, and then it shot out the front, and so I was in the hospital for 2 months. For the first couple weeks, for the first few months, they didn't know if I could keep my leg because of all the.
I remember they were talking about.
Yeah, the
that.
vascular damage is just, and then they did a fasciotomy to save the leg. But then, like I said, that's why I was in bed for months with my leg up, just waiting. And I did get to keep it, and it all worked out. But yeah, I'll always have, some pain. But I look at it as it reminds me. I used to get a little fed up with it, but now I've accepted it, and it reminds me how lucky I am. I wouldn't be here. I wouldn't have met the people that I've met, and my nonprofit, the Code of the West program, would not have happened had I not been injured. So there's always good.
I've never been shot, fortunately. I've been shot at on calls.
Yeah.
But fortunately, they were bad shots or
Yeah.
or whatever
Or luck.
happened. Yeah.
You were
But
fast.
it has exactly.
If you can't see this guy, he's like a ninja. So yeah.
Yeah, the fat ninja.
On a quick, there we go.
Anyway.
Look at the screen.
Oh no.
Yeah, there we go. See?
So fortunately, You were not hit.
How? I mean, I can't imagine the pain involved in that. What
You know,
I mean, at first, you probably didn't even know. I guess immediately.
Well, no, everything went in slow motion. It was just everything you had read about when
Did
it
you
comes
hear the
to
shots?
Oh yeah. So the first 3 rounds hit the front of my car, and I the first one hit the engine block, so I knew I was okay, because they always say the engine block is a good place to be. But then the second round hit my hood, and it sounded much different. And then the third round, and I was like, as everything was in slow motion, I was like, this isn't good. It's sounding different. And then when the fourth round went through the door, it's weird, because they say, a million thoughts can go through your mind in 1 second, and that's what happened. So I thought he had lobbed a grenade into my car.
Jeez.
Because it was like boom, and it felt like my lap had exploded, and I thought, my window's up, how did he chuck a grenade? I mean, I'm thinking that, how did he throw a grenade in my car? And then I was like, okay, it wasn't. And then well, first I opened up my I didn't look down, because I thought my leg was gone. I was like, whatever he hit me with, what's the point in looking? So I was focused through my windshield. I saw an APD officer had stopped to help, and we had just been issued tourniquets like maybe 3 months prior.
Yeah, same with us. We all got those cool little twisty, what do they call the things? The little tourniquets.
Well, ours was a soft T-wide. It was a good one.
Yeah.
TACMED Solutions.
Yeah, the military grade.
Yeah,
things,
military grade, yeah. So I opened up the BDU pocket with the Velcro, and I felt that I wasn't going to stay conscious, so I thought, well, I'm going to pop the door open, and this guy is going to see my tourniquate. And then, everything will be all right. And then I was in and out of consciousness, and then I didn't know that the fire department, they would inevitably put the tourniquet on my leg. But yeah, when people ask me if I remember or felt it, and it was so bad that I did go numb. But the worst part of the whole experience, I was just talking to my therapist about this recently. Yeah. The time in the hospital was excruciating, because you would think, the next couple weeks was just literally brutal. I thought the pain I was in, I thought they'd put me in like what are those comas? An induced coma where you go to sleep. Yeah. I couldn't sleep. I was hallucinating, and it was maddening.
Oh, jeez.
And so that lasted, at least 2 weeks, and then it got a little bit better, but it felt like just getting your hand slammed in a door, or your leg slammed just repeatedly, and I mean, they did everything possible, Mark. I'm not slamming anybody at the hospital, but they just said this is...
Oh, UNM, they got their shit together.
Yeah, they do, and I couldn't have been at a better trauma place, but the pain was just phenomenal. So it wasn't... Yeah, the shooting itself wasn't that bad, but being in a hospital and being essentially helpless, because I was laying on my back, and I had pins. They didn't fix me right away. I just lay there, and if it wasn't within hand's reach, I was SOL. I just lay on my back. And I had deputies outside my door, friends.
Yeah, guard duty. Yeah.
Guard duty from the guard. Well, it was crazy. We didn't know what had happened.
I was actually out there a couple times.
Really? Yeah. Well, the first
they had all
2
of us,
days, we didn't know what this guy was up to, and I wasn't supposed to make it, so they were around the clock. They were amazing. They took good care of me. I mean, did they have you like on a morphine drip, or I mean? Yeah, but that's why I was shocked that I was like, every 7 minutes you can hit the button, and that's
why. It just did nothing.
Nope.
Wow.
And I when I would fall asleep, my heart rate would drop, and then beep, 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 the things would go off, and then they'd wake me up, and
like, no, don't fall asleep.
Yeah, and I'm like, I just need sleep, and they're like, your heart's gonna stop, and I was like, okay.
Yeah, maybe that's better.
It's already happened a couple times.
So you were? Did you flatline it?
Oh yeah.
Yeah. So because I think we were going to talk about that.
A little bit,
we
still have time.
You and Nick have that in common, actually.
Oh, that's right. Nick. We got to talk about that afterwards. So yeah, I had a near-death experience.
And this was at the scene, or at the hospital?
I too at scene. There was a bright light, just like you hear about, and I was floating above the scene, and I couldn't see because this extraordinary light, but I could hear rescue working on me. I didn't know I was in front of a fire station, but I could hear them. I don't want to curse. Can I curse?
Oh, of course you can.
Oh, okay. So I could hear shit, fuck, shit, and I kept saying, I'm here, I'm still here. And then I kept thinking, as long as I breathe, I just remained calm. But I remember how frantic they were around me. And then when I woke up and I was in the ambulance, and then, the light was gone. And the reason I know it happened was And I thought later, I was like, well, I dumped over half of my blood. Maybe I was just hallucinating
Yeah.
or whatever. But I got to talk to all the firefighters that were there. And then I listened to the dispatch, and the timeline was, it happened. They said what I heard them say, and it was just amazing.
Have you been able to see the lapel videos? Was it too hard to watch?
Oh, no. I guess I'm weird.
You wanted to see it.
Everything.
'Cause there was a couple.
Yeah.
There was a couple of, I can't remember which officer it was that you looked dead.
Yeah,
You-
I
you
was.
literally.
No, and that's at that point what you just did.
Yeah.
That's where I was gone.
Yeah.
And like I said, I know I was gone. The blood was gone, and that's at that time was when I was floating, and then
Wow.
and then I was in the ambulance, and I came to.
What a weird.
It was
thing.
it was
it's
very
just-
bizarre.
Yeah, it's if you're spiritual, I guess, or and you hear these things,
Yeah.
and then when you actually experience it,
Yeah.
you're like, wow, that's real.
Yeah, it definitely changed me and gave me a different perspective. Not in a religious way, just I definitely have an appreciation that I didn't have before.
Yeah, there's a bigger power
Yeah.
at work somewhere doing something. Yeah, keeping us all in check, or
And then when
saving some of us, and I don't know.
I don't know either. I don't know.
Yeah.
It's definitely that's a whole
There
other
was
show.
there was some kind of master plan that
Yeah.
kept you in the fight, and here you are.
And then
we're
one of
happy for it.
one of our deputies, he escorted the fire department rig, AC Thomas, and they rolled me into surgery. And then once they took the tourniquet off,
I
that's
can
the
imagine.
second time when the
Passed out.
floodgates.
Yeah.
I apparently I let out this scream. I don't remember, and then that was the second time they lost me. And,
Wow.
but here I am.
No, hey, I'm glad. I just got,
Yeah.
glad you made it through that. You're an awesome person. Yeah,
thank
I
you.
would have said
That's
that
kind of
before
you.
all this happened.
that's very nice of you. Thank
And
you.
it's so cool to know that there's people like you that were on the job and took up the profession for the right reasons, and you're still there and helping out where you can. And,
Yeah.
and it means a lot.
We have to take care of each other.
Yeah, absolutely.
I would have gone down a very dark road had people like Ryan and my guard unit and everybody not continue to reach out to me, because when you're forgotten, it's hard.
Yeah.
So.
Well, Ryan, we definitely appreciate you coming out today.
Thanks for having us, guys.
And it's I know you got some tickets there we'll get those things
Yeah,
out
poker tournament.
For the-
play some cards
for the next poker night. Yeah.
We got a poker player that fights.
Ooh, who is it?
Celine?
Yeah, Celine's
Nice.
hardcore into that stuff. Yeah, she's another Gracie Baja. She's
Oh,
always
nice.
over there. I'm sure you've seen
Oh
her.
no,
The
I
Asian,
met.
yeah.
Yeah. I
Yeah.
know I met her recently.
Celine
Oh, cool.
Haga, yeah.
Okay, I'll make sure she gets those
Yeah,
tickets.
she would love it. Yeah.
Yeah.
Uh,
Don't play on a card game. You'll lose
gosh, no.
every single penny you have.
It's all for charity. I'll just give her my money and say, let's.
Everybody's going to good cause.
Simon lives for that stuff. I mean, as you guys know, he's a big poker guy.
Yeah.
I met with him yesterday. We actually dropped off a bunch of prizes because we give prizes
Nice.
instead of money. So he drops off a bunch of prizes, and he's like, "Hey, man,
The prizes that he won.
well, he goes, and I said, you need to run the poker game this year because my son's got a state wrestling tournament. I may not be there." He says,
He's a busy.
I gotta play at least one hand, man. I gotta play. I'm like, oh my goodness, guy,
Yeah, you
come
can't
on.
be doing both. But I think we're going to wrap it up just because I know you can't sit too long. You got to get your circulation going, and you got other stuff to do. But
I got one question. We'll end it on this. With the Old West,
Oh yeah.
with bullies,
Yeah.
and where, because there was no online back then. What do you
Mhm.
teach the kids about how they read insulting comments in the paper, and then
Mhm.
they used to have duels back then, but they don't have anymore.
Yeah, we talk about the cowboy way, and that's you don't say a whole lot, and your work ethic speaks for itself. So when it comes to bullies, I tell them look them in the eye, and just stand your ground. I mean, there's a whole lot of different ways to deal with it, but we talk about more avoidance. If you're quiet and just have confidence, that's gonna speak a lot. So. We actually role play and do different scenarios on how to deal with bullies. But confidence is a big factor because bullies, they look for unconfident, victims.
yeah,
And so when you're a confident cowboy, nobody's going to mess with you. And when you have the respect of everybody, in your group you're less likely to be bullied. So
One of these days we're going to tackle this bully thing, figure it all out.
Yeah.
But I mean,
and they tell me about it too, and I've handled a couple of girl bullies, and we've sat down.
I think girls can be worse bullies than.
In this case, it was. In this case, it was.
The body shaming issues and all
what
that stuff with girls.
we sat down together, and they haven't had an issue since.
Good.
So
you're doing things right.
Yeah. I think getting it out too. Thank you for asking about that.
All right, guys. Well, thanks for tuning in, guys.
Thank you.
Thank you guys for coming in and hanging out with us.
Thank you, Jackson Wink,
you,
too.
You actually made John and Holly and Michelle. You got them some new looks, and
they made our day.
Yeah. So it works both ways, and we will look forward to seeing you guys in future events. And,
you bet.
You ever need us for anything, you let us know. All right.
We appreciate it.
Thanks, guys. Take care. See you next time.
Through these doors walk the greatest fighters in the world.